What the hell do I care what happened in 2024?
Right.
I know what happened in 2024. What's going to happen in 2025? We're not going to tell you because we don't know. Oh, and again, by the way, when I talk about the immigration issue, this is one of a best-selling book, Trends 2000. They changed the immigration issue two times, and I'm Vietnam War era. They allowed immigrants to come in. They changed it because they were drafting all the guys and they needed more labor. Number two, when the whole internet revolution began, everybody forgot this. Again, that slime ball, that murderer. Oh, this was one of my T-shirts when he ran for office back in 1992. Slick Willie, beware of Slick Willie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He gave us the H-1B visas.
I love your movement and also the sound money movement. We have to take our power back as citizens, don't we? I mean, and do you I think it's possible. Do you think it's possible?
Of course it's possible. Don't we need it? Again, you can't do it without any dough.
But you know, there are 8.4 billion people in this world. And I learned many things from you, but one thing that you talked to me about was how the revolution took just 3% of very vocal people and there was a revolution. And I think what we're seeing around the world is the rise of populism again. But
you're 100% right. That's what I was saying when you said populism, just what's going on. Once upon a time, there was a guy by the name of Samuel Adams, one of the founding fathers. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Yeah, I'm angry. You bet I'm angry. I don't like my money being stolen, going to kill people in other countries. I don't like my, we just gave how many, $7 billion for some company to make chips? Yeah. I'm a big company. We could get money from the government. Well, there's a guy that I don't like so much, but he's Italian. His name was Mussolini. The merger of state and corporate powers, by his definition, is fascism. All right? And that's what you got here. The merger of state and corporate powers. The corporate powers are in charge.
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, you've also made a really good point about blockchain technology. And you're the only one that I've heard made it, but I've mentioned it many times. Do we really need these politicians? If we have this blockchain technology that's so great, why do we need all of this central bank? Why do we need the central bank? Why do we need the politicians?
Again, you talk about the central bank. I mean, look at the murderer clown that made the thing up.
Yeah.
Woodrow Wilson gave us World War I, which we had no business going into. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, Yankee Doodle do or die. Oh, he gave us the Federal Reserve. He gave us federal income tax and the IRS. I mean, look at the clowns that are running the show. And that's all it is. This isn't the country that our founding fathers fought for.
No, it isn't.
Again, I read at the last rally we had. It was a great one. We had Judge Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Joe Laurie, others. And I read George Washington's part of his farewell address. He tells the American people, don't love a nation, don't hate a nation. If you do either one, you become a slave to them. His words. Don't get involved in any of these foreign entanglements. This stuff's been going on for thousands of years. Going back to the income tax. Before income tax, the way the government was funded was through tariffs. You look up McKinley, and he said, what do you want? Do you want cheap products or higher wages? Once upon a time, and you remember being up here in Kingston, you had Gantt factory up here. They used to make the shirts.
I do remember that.
You remember all of the shirt factories and all of the manufacturing that was going on in Kingston and all over. Yeah. All over manufacturing.
And the garment district in New York. I bought stuff there.
Yep. Remember, you go down the city and the guys are going through the streets with all racks of clothes.
Yep.
And then there was a thing that before they had a thing called the Rust Belt. They had a middle class. We had manufacturing here. I believe in becoming a self-sustaining economy. So if Trump does the tariff deal the way he says he's going to do it, and if is a big empty word, the companies in the United States say, we're going to manufacture made in America, that'd be a big positive for the country.
It really would.
Again,
It would bring back jobs. It would, yeah.
and again, you remember when we were younger, there were no Targets, there were no Kohl's, there were no Home Depots, there were no Lowe's, there were no Staples. There were things right here where you up here in Kingston, down the street. There used to be a stationery store.
Right.
Oh, there were drug stores, there were hardware stores, there were grocery stores, there were shoe stores. No more.
There are a couple things that I want your opinion on. I want to go back to Germany and what's happening in the Eurozone, right? It seems to me like there could possibly be a breakdown that is already occurring. And one thing we know is no pegs last forever. What do you see in the future for the Eurozone? Do you think they're going to be able to hold it together, or do you think it's going to break apart?
It's going to break apart. I just mentioned, by the way, in the Trends Journal this week, we wrote about how much money is going into the equity markets and the debt markets from other countries. It's flooding into America. It's flooding into America, and it's more than double what's going into Europe. So again, let's see why it happened. Germany. Once upon a time, Germany was the #1 manufacturing company in the world. They were the top of the top. Then what happened? They started when Clinton brought China into the World Trade Organization. Let's go to China. China couldn't make crap before 2000. The deal was this. Yeah, you could come over here, but you got to open up a company and you can only own 49% of it. We don't have the technology, we don't have the high tech, and we don't have the heavy industry knowledge to know what's going on. But you're going to come over here and you're going to show us how. So let's go back to early 2000s. Boom. They were booming. They were selling their Mercedes. They were selling their Volkswagens. They were selling, exporting to China. And then what happened? China got all the information that they needed, all the technology that they needed, everything that they needed. Now, who's the biggest car salespeople in the world? The Chinese. The American and European manufacturers, because they wanted cheap labor so they could make more money, destroyed their businesses.
Yes.
Look what, again, we just this week in the magazine this week about how many people General Motors is firing and how much money they're losing. It's one company after another. They did this because they gave their manufacturing to cheap labor countries. So that's what happened, Lynette. Germany destroyed its own economy.
It did, but I also think that, when they pegged, Germany really benefited and profited from it because Greece and Italy and other countries could borrow at that same rate and buy all of this stuff from Germany. So the fact that Germany is now in an official recession, because they get to call it, what it's a recession. What does that tell you? I mean, I agree that I think it's going to break up. When do you, well, who knows? I mean, timing is the biggest challenge, isn't it?
I'll never forget when, and I used to spend time in Europe. I'll never forget when they went into the Euro in early 2000. And a friend of mine, may rest in peace, he married a woman from Denmark. And her father and mother came over. And they were like, I'm going to say like 20 years older than me, 15, 20 years older. They grew up during World War II. They were all so happy that they were going into the Euro. Because what people forgot, they sold the BS.
Right.
That if there's one currency, Europeans will not fight against each other again. I mean, what's your favorite war? World War I? Oh, what was the French against this one and the Germans against that? World War II, where they were fighting each other. I mean, it's been going on for centuries, by the way. But they sold the BS that if they went into the euro, they wouldn't have to worry about going to war again. That was the big line that they lied about. And the euro destroyed all these other countries. Inflation skyrocketed, the whole game changed.
Exactly.